Hi everyone, and welcome to Social Science class 8, and we'll be doing a new topic, but that has again two parts. So this lesson has been divided into two parts. So today we are going to do the first one. So let's find out what's the title of the lesson. So this is British Rule and Urban Change Part 1. The chapter number, as you can see, is page 5 and the pages are 37 and 38. So I've only taken 2 pages for this part 1. So if you can see in the picture, before we go to the picture, let me tell you what do you mean by urban change. So urban is basically all cities and towns, and rural is villages. So whenever you start moving to a city, there is a change in your life, but there is also a change that the city undergoes. So if you see in this picture, you will see lots of construction, you will see lots of people. So there are few changes that happens in the city when you start moving towards the city, and when every one of us, at least 60 to 70% from the rural population, decide to seek employment and go to the cities. So the city undergoes a change, and you as a person also undergoes that change. So these urban changes we are not going to study for the modern India, but at the time of the British rule. So before 1947, when the Britishers were ruling India, what were the changes that happened in the cities? So, let's begin with understanding what do you mean by colonialism. That's a practice of domination that involves the subjugation of one country by another for economic exploitation and political occupation. So Britishers were a colonial power, and it's not only our country that they subjugated, there were also other countries they went to and they conquered and they started ruling it. So in our uh, country, what they started doing was the economic exploitation. So if you remember in the previous lessons, we did learn that the cotton as a raw material was sent to the British factories, and then it came as a ready-made clothes that you could buy. So things like that started affecting the Indian market, and we termed as economic exploitation of our country. And also, the rules and the laws that were made were only made for the Britishers to be trying to exploit more the citizen as well as the economy. So that is what the practice of domination means, and that is what the Britishers before 1947 were doing. The change in location and status of different cities and towns due to the change in the political, social, and economic is termed as urban change. So we are going to find out the kind of urban change that happened while the Britishers were ruling us. Let's go to another definition, that is deurbanization. Now, deurbanization is the process in which people from the villages are moving to cities and towns. And why? Because they think that they will be better in employment there, the economic conditions, the living standards would be better in the cities. So when they do not find any work in villages, they start moving to the cities in search of employment. So the new cities that came up during the British era was Bombay, we call it Mumbai now, Calcutta, so we call it Kolkata now, Madras, we call it Chennai. So we are going to stick to the pre-1947 terminology, that is Bombay, Calcutta and Madras. So these cities were founded and many people shifted to these cities as they offered good opportunities of employment and better lifestyle. So it is normal, if you have a good employment, you have good economic conditions, your lifestyle is going to be certainly better than what it was previously. So emergence of new towns, and we are going to begin with the city of Bombay. So you can see that is how the sea, and this is an old picture. I have not taken pictures after 1947. I've tried to get pictures from pre 1947 itself. So this is how the previous Bombay that we called looked like. Now, in 1667, for years, the Dutch and the British, both of them, tried to get information on the sea route to India. And it was in 1667 that Catherine of Braganza brought these islands to Charles II of England, but as a part of a marriage dowry. Then in 1668, the British East India Company received it from the Crown in 1668 and founded the modern city that we call Bombay. The change in location and status of different Bombay and shortly thereafter shifted their main business from Surat to Bombay. So, Surat was a place where you had business opportunities, but slowly and steadily, Britishers tried to make Bombay as a capital and as a trade capital, and that's how from Surat, Bombay was the center now. These are the chols that you see now also and in previous times also. George Oxenden was the first governor of Bombay. Remember, the Britishers always had governors who were ruling a particular area. The way we have states now, chief ministers administering, earlier it was the governors. And the migration of skilled workers and traders to the safe haven of Bombay continued. So migration means when person or when people are trying to travel from one place to another. The way even the birds travel, so even human beings in search of employment, search of better facilities travel. So these were the traders who started traveling to Bombay. In 1853, the railway line between Thane and Bombay, so Thane is now New Bombay, was inaugurated and it was the first in India. 4 years later, in 1854, the first cotton mill was started in Bombay. And because of these mills, started the large-scale migrations of Marathi workers and the chols. So whenever you see any industries coming up, you will also see laborers coming in, but laborers are not paid that much and they do need a residence to live. And that is how the chols came into existence. So chol is basically a house which only has one bedroom and just an attached kitchen. So that's a chol. Even now in Mumbai we have chols. So the first railway line from Thane to Mumbai was inaugurated, and remember, railway of course transports us but also transports the goods. So it was a means of transportation for the Britishers. Landmarks from this period, which means the things that were built there or were renovated or were important, were Gateway of India, the General Post Office. You still have these, the Town Hall and the Prince of Wales Museum. Its location on the sea coast gave it a special beauty. So if you love beaches and you love the coastline, Bombay is the place to go. Its beaches, especially the Marine Drive, the Chapati, the Juhu Beach, they are endowed with a serene charm. Serene as you get peace while sitting and enjoying the waves on the sea. Among the other attraction, which means except for these, there are also Hanging Garden, the Zoo, the Art Gallery, and the Victoria Terminus. I'm repeating, remember, if you ever visit Mumbai, you still have these, and these are still grand that you will still enjoy to watch it and be happy about whatever the Britishers have left us. The discovery, now remember, sea has to have a crude oil. The discovery of crude oil near its coast in the seabed has further added to the importance of Mumbai. So for a long time, Mumbai has always been called as an economic capital of India. After Mumbai, the second city that the Britishers organized or developed, came into being, was Madras. So they termed it as Madras, and now we have changed that term from Madras to Chennai. So the old Madras is the new Chennai, and it is in South India, Tamil Nadu. So Madras was established in 1639 and the trader was Francis Day. So Francis Day is the one who has established the modern Chennai that we call now. And he represented the East India Company because at that point of time, it was the East India Company which was still there. So, the East India Company had been granted a charter by Queen Elizabeth in December 1600 for a monopoly on all English trade east of the Cape of Good Hope. So, it was the Queen Elizabeth who granted them permission that they can have trade facilities in 1600. Company merchants sought to create trading outposts, allowing different access to highly valued, especially the Indian textile sources. So remember, sea and railway are the ones which do transport the goods and are very good if you want to have trade facility. So these are the two things which would give access to the trade. Day's land grant from the Nayak of Pumwali fulfilled that objective also. The city grew into a modern old city by merging neighboring areas, and in the 19th century, the city became the seat of Madras Presidency, and that was a southern division of British Imperial India, so which means that the Madras Presidency was a seat which was a very powerful one. And after independence in 1947, this also became the capital of Madras state. So now we have a state called Tamil Nadu, but earlier it was a Madras state, and Chennai or Madras was the capital there. Now it is known as Chennai, and it soon developed into a port city and an important industrial center. Remember, the more industry a place has, the more economically viable and the more economically good you are. It has great attraction for marina. Okay, so here also it's a beach city. So Marina Beach is very, very famous here. The beaches are wonderful. The beach is about 6 kilometers long and it is considered as the second largest beach in the world. So if ever you get a GK question, which is the second largest beach, you know it is the Marina Beach. It has many centers of attraction for the tourist, and that is the Presidency College, Fort St. George, National Park, Government Museum, the High Court, Art Gallery. This is a picture of High Court, and the St. Thomas Church. And South India is very, very famous for its temples also. So this is Chennai for you. And now the third one is Calcutta. Now we call it Kolkata. So this is not the Taj Mahal. This is the Kolkata city with its crowd and with its famous taxis in the on the street. All right. So the capital of West Bengal, Calcutta, recently named as Kolkata, lies on the Hooghly, that is a distributary of the Ganges. So whenever you hear the river Ganga, you in English call it Ganges, but in Hindi we call it Ganga. So Hooghly is a distributary of that famous and great river. Sirajuddaulah protested and attacked Fort William, and he was besieged on the 15th June 1756. And here the Britishers surrendered after a resistance of 5 days. So Sirajuddaulah was that time the ruler of Bengal. And Calcutta was renamed as Alivardi, and it was placed under the charge of Manik Chand. So this Manik Chand was a person who was appointed by the Britishers. But he was bribed and he surrendered Calcutta to the English just after a little show of resistance. Calcutta also, instead of Sirajuddaulah, came into the hands of the Britishers. And in February 1757, the Nawab made peace with the English official, and the famous Robert Clive Treaty happened in Alinagar. And this restored, according to this treaty, it restored the English all their privilege, especially for the trade, and granting the permission to fortify Calcutta. So if you fortify a city, you are very sure that nobody else can attack you, or you are in a powerful and a strong position. This treaty also promised compensation for the losses suffered by the English. So whenever the war happened, whatever losses due to trade or due to war happened, this treaty said that all the losses will be compensated by Bengal. So it is a famous treaty of Robert Clive that happened. Then we had the Battle of Plassey, that was 23rd June 1757, and this took place, and where you will see a betrayal of one's own motherland. And this battle was the beginning of nearly 200 years of British rule over India. So Battle of Plassey is famous, where you see that the ruler, the nobles, all were worthless, all were treacherous, and went and joined the hands of the Britishers. Now let's see what are the tourist attractions that Calcutta has to offer. So the famous Howrah Bridge is there, South Park Street is there. The South Park Street is famous now for its shopping centers. The Dalhousie Square, then the Academy of Fine Arts, Fort William, the famous one, Birla Mandir, High Court, as all states have their own High Court, then Shaheed Minar, Salt Lake Stadium, which now we know because of the cricket matches, Victoria Memorial, and Writers Building. So Writers Building is a place where you have all the bureaucrats and the chief minister sitting. So the offices are there. So let's revise what was the colonial urban development that happened. So port cities were built up. That was the Mumbai one. Then there were cantonments for their army. Hill stations were built so that people could go and enjoy, even for the Britishers themselves. And railway towns were built, and especially you read that there was the first railway line between Thane and Mumbai that the Britishers had introduced. So this comes with this, we come to the end of part 1 of this lesson, and in the next class we'll start with part 2 and finish the entire lesson. So I do hope that you understood and you enjoyed the lesson. So bye bye for now.